Welcome to my shop. Special welcome to the guys down in New Zealand and Australia. New Zealand's where this came from. We're going to do a review today on the new Nova Galaxi DVR lathe. This is a brand new model. It's a beta model. It's not on the market yet. And I bought this and I was asked to do a review on it. So I'm doing a review for lumberjacks and also for Technitool. This is a 1644 lathe, and it's called a DVR, which means it's a digital variable reluctance motor. This reluctance motor has no brushes in it. It has no belts. It has no Reeves drive. It's just all electronically controlled by computer. It advances the armature automatically and changes polarity just like brushes would do, but only this is all electronically done. The lathe is a 16-inch and it's 44-inch swing. It has a 66-inch bed on it, and it comes with. It came in a nice crate. All the parts were on here, assembled on here, and then the legs were laying on top. So we went ahead and uncrated it, and the crate kept us warm here in the shop for 2 days after we broke it all up. Those legs are going to be used on something else. I'll probably put the Craftsman lathe on there and use that for polishing. But anyway, this comes with a really nice banjo, a nice tailstock, and the headstock. And this is one big long piece of ground ways, and it's solid as a rock. And the lathe head can move anywhere. This thing has a lock on the back here, and this lock locks much like a banjo or a tailstock, so that you can position it anywhere on here. And what I did is I decided to position it in a little bit so I could make a shelf for my grinder. And one of the things you got to know is that when you position that baby's got to be tight, because I was using it one day and I didn't have it. I tried to tighten it with this little rod that I made, and because it would clear everything right here, but really you need to use the ramrod. This is the knockout rod. And the reason I think the reason that this plug is removable, whereas the other one wasn't, is that you need to get that out of the way when you tighten and loosen this thing. You loosen that up, and you can move this head anywhere. I'll take this out of here for a while. This is a little shelf I made with a little T key in it, so I can slide it on and it don't fall off. This is where my grinder goes. Anyway, you take that off and you can move this head anywhere. I have this setting right on top of it to hold all my tools, but this thing can go anywhere, and I'll just put it back where it goes. And then what you do is you pull that thing in there and you lock it really tight. Oh, here we go. Okay, and this, I turn this thing upside down. They give you this little tool holder here. I turned it up here so that the head of this wasn't down below here, it was up on top. Very easy to get at. I'll put this holder back in here, little shelf. Plug her in. Throw my grinder back on there. And I made this and this thing to hold my tools so they're all handy. I like everything handy. I got lots of drawers in the station here. But I like everything handy so that I can grab it without having to drag for it. I also made this little stand right here. I could set my tools on here, don't want them falling on the floor. I made this. This thing just pops in and out of there. There's just a little key on the bottom. Pops into ways. And it's handy for when I'm using a number of tools on here. The tailstock, like I said, locks really well, slides everywhere. It's got an opening in the back here, and it comes with a little rack to hold the drive center and the live center. They're pretty nice, but I don't use them. I use this one from a metal lathe, and then for my drive center, I've got another one I've used for years, so I'm busy using that one. One thing with this, one thing with the tailstock, this has got to be changed. They knew this was backwards when they shipped them, but this has a right-hand screw in it. So when you turn it clockwise, like you would normally tighten something, it backs up. And I I had something drop a little bit on that, not thinking. But anyway, there's going to be a new screw and a new quill coming, and when I get that, I'll put it in here in a few weeks. But anyway, this thing works nice. It's very solid. The banjo also works very smooth. This is the totally ground bed, and the banjo has a round clamp underneath it, and with that, it allows it to slide really good. Now some of the old ones, like this one here, this was my Craftsman one that I made slide real easy, because I made one of those little round nuts or little round washers for it. This is what was on there. This is the plate that they had, and what would happen is when you go back and forth with the banjo, this would climb underneath the ways and get stuck, and you'd have to fiddle with it. And I don't like fiddling when I'm doing it. So, anyway. The lathe comes with the banjo, the tailstock, the headstock, the ways, and also one steady rest. It comes with a 12-inch steady rest. I already have a 12-inch steady rest, but I have a 6-inch steady rest, and I have a curved steady rest that I use inside of bowls and stuff, or sometimes the outside of bowls. So what I did is I wanted to keep with those, so I made a bushing for this. I made a 7/8 to 1 inch bushing. That goes in there. That way I can use all my 7/8 stuff. Also, I do a lot of indexing, and I have an indexing tool here that this will index 5 or 10 holes, and I put that on the chuck, and then this is the key that picks it up. So this goes in here. The drilling part goes in there. So I made the head of this bushing specifically to match that, so it's right on center with this new lathe. So I use that for index. Matter of fact, I tried it out already, and it worked really good. Let's fire it up. This is my safety switch here that I use, just in case I get in an emergency. It's always on the right side so I can get out of the way of it. And then this is the switch over here to turn the power onto here. The other one used to have a toggle. This one has a rocker switch, a lighted rocker, and it comes on and gives you some information. And then it starts up, it's ready to go at 500 RPM. This lathe has a 1 3/4 horse motor, and I don't know if did I talk about the DVR? I think I did. It's got a digital variable reluctance motor in it, and this one is the new one. The other one went up to 3,500. This one goes from 100 to 5,000 RPMs, and the way you turn up the speed is with this rheostat. Now you can use the presets. Here's a preset for 250. There's one for 5. This one's set at 750, but this way you got another keystroke. You got to confirm it. Or this one is set for 1020. You got to confirm it. But there's a lot easier way to do that. Okay, when you got this thing going, this is not just a tachometer. This is a speed indicator. So this indicates not only what speed it's going, but what speed it's going to start at. So I can turn this while it's off, and it'll change speed. This is the fine control. This also has a coarse control, which is there. You see it's at 790 now, and I turn that, and it's at 2,000 with just a turn of that. And if I keep turning it, it'll go up to 5,000. So let's start her up, and I'll show you how she goes. It has an on and off button right here, and this is the thing that I was concerned about, that I thought it didn't have that. I thought it had a push-pull button. I would rather have that, because when I'm working over here, I don't like to reach and precisely hit these buttons. I like a paddle switch. Like if I'm using a parting tool and setting a whole pile of diameters, I like to put it in, turn it off and on, turn it off and on. I can't do that with this. I got to be more precise. So you have to hit this thing right there to turn it on, and then turn it off here. So when it's on, it's got an emergency stop on it that you can hit. But you have to turn it to release it again. So the speed control is the motor is very smooth, and the speed control works really nice in the course. I'm turning this in the course. She's sitting at 5,000, just running smooth as can be. No belts, no Reeves drive. Very smooth running. And then when you're sanding, it's really nice. You'll be up at you'll be up at 5,000 RPM and say you're probably turn around 2. I never turn that fast. But then you want to sand it. Bring it right down to 5, and you're into sanding. That part I really like. So it's a very nice lathe. It also has a 24-pin indexing, and this is your index pin right here. Now the index pin, it has a detent in it to lock it when it's up, and it has a detent to drop it down. And when it drops down inside of a. Let me get over here. It drops down inside of a little notch in there. But the problem is you can't see where it's at. You can't see which one it is without a flashlight. It's pretty dark inside that little guy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build an index ring on here with an arrow on it so that when I'm over here I can work at it and see it, because I won't have to pick up a flashlight and all that. But the other thing, I don't know if you can see it, but inside of there, every one of the 24, there's 3 more little holes. And they don't take advantage of those, but those 3 little holes are at 5 degrees. So actually you could have every 5 degrees here for indexing if you had a pin to pick it up. And
shine the light in there so I can see.
Alright. You can see those holes in there.
Yeah.
Let me turn it. See, there's a whole series of holes in there, and I had this cover off, and I already measured that. And one other thing I was going to show you, I don't know if you can pick this up real close. But when you got that indexing in there, and I drilled the holes, it seemed to work pretty good. But I'm worried about fluting, because see, when you turn this, see, you get a little slop in there. So I took this apart, and there's a little clearance in that pin there, and the pin only drops down about 100 thousandths in that groove. I think that's going to be all right, but I'm not sure. But what I want to do is I want to do some fluting on here and just see that doesn't change the width of the groove when the cutter's going. This little bit of slop, I'm not sure that it will. But we'll see when I test it out. I haven't had a chance to do that yet because I have to adapt my box to fit this. Anyway, trying to think what else we got here. I guess that's about it. It's a very fine lathe, and I'm glad I got it. It's probably the last one I ever buy, and I do a lot of work. I've already turned a couple of pieces on a couple long pieces. One inside out turning, and I got 2 bowls here. There's one here. There's one in the bucket there that's going to get turned. And so I just got started roughing those out last night. But I had to clean this up so we could do this photo shoot. It was a mess. I mean, there was stuff all over the place. So anyway, Merry Christmas to everybody. This is Christmas Eve right now. So hope you all have a good, happy holiday.